Hey everybody, Kimberly here, and I'm so excited to share with you Clever Forever. This is the fourth game in the Clever series by Wolfgang Warsch, and I actually 2 years ago did my ranking of Clevers 1, 2, and 3. So that is Ganz schön clever, that's pretty clever. Then it is doppelt so clever, twice as clever, and then clever cubed, which I really appreciate the clever cubed, and then the Clever Forever with the last two names without the German. I love the German, but it kind of keeps it really clear, really simple, really streamlined. So great kind of like, name shift in the middle of an ongoing trilogy, quadrilogy of these lovely roll and write games. So if you haven't played any of these games, definitely go start with the first one. That's pretty clever, ganz schön clever, and you'll just roll into this series super fast, love it to pieces, and then jump into the nuances and the changes that each of those sections on the roll and write sheet offer as you move through 2, 3, and now 4. So I will tell you where I rank 4 when I compare that game to 1, 2, and 3, which I did rank 2 years ago. It's been 2 years. I couldn't believe it. I look back at my videos and I was like, wow, I did this 2 years ago. So I finally got my hands on this, and it did not disappoint. I'll tell you that much so far. I do want to walk you through how the sections work in 4 and kind of talk about what I really like about that, what I maybe don't like about that, and then by the end, I will give you that list of where Clever Forever sits. So Clever Forever takes 30 minutes to play, and you can play 1 to 4 players. And it does depend slightly on if you're playing with 1 to 2 or 3 to 4 players, and it just tells you how many rounds you actually have on the top of your score sheet. So just make sure you know how many rounds from the start. And in the first 4, you get a bonus at the beginning of each round. So each round consists of every player being the active player once. And when you're the active player, you take all 6 dice, you roll them, and then you select one of those dice to put on your player sheet and then activate that section based on the number chosen. Now here's the rub. This is the twist. If you take a number and there are any dice that are lower than that number in the pool that you just rolled, they go to the silver tray, the silver platter that you will serve up to your passive players sitting at the table with you after you've selected your dice fully. So you're essentially saying, I'm not going to be rolling these dice again after I've taken that one die, and you are simply culling them because of the die you really, really want has that number. So I pick a die that has a value of 3. If there's a 2 and a 1, those 2 dice go in the pool, and now I'm only rolling the remainder of the dice, which is 3. Pick them up, roll them, take the die that I want, put it in my row. It's now the second die I've selected, and the same rule applies. If there are any dice with lower value than the die you took, they go to the silver platter. So you have to be really careful not to eliminate too many dice that doesn't give you your full 3 actions, because you really can't forfeit one of those. If you do, you better have a pretty good reason for doing that. But players are going to want to essentially select 3 dice, but it's in these 3 phases of rolling and checking to see, are there any numbered dice lower than the one I just took. It's just a really clever system. It's a really choicey system, and there are some bonuses that allow you to re-roll your dice if you have collected those re-roll symbols, which is that circle with the 2 arrows, saying essentially, try again. That roll wasn't that great for you, try again. So that's super fantastic. Now, when you take the die and you are putting your die into the yellow section, I'm going to start in the yellow section, it's at the top, and you're going to be looking at the leftmost column. You have to start on that leftmost side, but you can put it in the top row, the middle row, or the bottom row. And the reason why you're putting it in the top row is because you have to start low and go high. And once you get to 6, you're done, right? You can't go higher than 6. So you want to start as low as possible and then write hopefully the next numbered value going down your particular column. And whenever you write into yellow, you pick the leftmost column of any of the rows. So if you've made progress in the top row or the middle row or the bottom row, you can put it in there as long as there are no empty spaces. You're not allowed to skip spaces in those particular rows. And the cool thing is you're going to get bonuses in the top row, but for columns, you're going to subtract the value of points from your score from the middle row, and at the bottom row, you're going to add that number. And if you get all 3 in that column, you're going to gain the points listed at the bottom, starting with, I think, 10, going to 15, going to 20. And so there are some real big points to be had with yellow and some fantastic bonus opportunities on the top row, including that fox that's at the very end. The blue section uses both the blue and the white die, just like every other time you've seen the blue section in the previous games. And you're going to be looking at what the blue die value is and the 1 die, and it's kind of like a column row meeting at one particular space. And you're going to cross out that particular number. But now you're looking for 2 X's vertically or 2 X's horizontally. And once you've gotten your second X in a particular row or column, you've gained that bonus. And there are victory points vertically in the column and 1 going diagonally. And then there are bonuses going horizontally or with your rows. And then there's another diagonal that goes the other direction that's going to give you a bonus. And once you get more than that, though, if you get a 3rd check somewhere or you just have 1 check somewhere, nothing. You get nothing. And so 2 is the secret special number in that particular section. And again, it's just your white die, blue die, where they meet, check it off. The gray section works like fantastically. It's so unique and fun. I really like this one because it turned visual on you. And it's all about connecting with your blocks or sections of blocks. And they are a variety of sizes, and they also have different shades of gray. So there are white sections, light gray sections, and dark gray sections. And there are way too many things to do in the gray section, and I love it. So the first thing is, if you fill all 4 in a column, you're going to get victory points based on the number at the very top. And so you're going to start at 1, and it's going to go all the way up. And so there are just a ton of points to earn, just points-wise. Now, if you fill in all of the white squares in the entire gray section, you get a fox. If you fill in all the light gray sections, you get a fox. All the dark gray sections, you get a fox. And inside of each of these groupings, these polynomial groupings, there are going to be bonuses like plus dice and reroll them and get another action die and things like that. So that one has just a bunch of fun stuff, and you have to start on the left side. And if you are adjacent, side to side, not diagonal, but adjacent next to another empty space, that's what you get to move into. And you take the die value and you fill in that number of spaces, but you have to have the number of spaces equal to the boxes or fewer. So if you have a die 3 and you have a 2 space, you can fill in the 2 space, but if you have a 4 space and a 3, you're not allowed to fill those spaces in. It has to meet the space that you're putting them into or be lower than. So just really cool. I love the way that works, and you're just moving your way left to right and trying to nab up as much stuff. The green section has a slash mark in each of the spaces, and it's kind of important to think about this as like 2 stacked on top of each other. So 1 is at the top and 1 is at the bottom of a particular space. Now, if you put a number value into the bottom space, you're going to get the thing that's underneath it. You just get the bonus. That's it. It's just super clear, super easy. Doesn't matter what number you put in there. But yes, you do have to start on the left side and move to the right. You're not allowed to skip spaces here. But what you do is you are putting it adjacent to a previously placed number on the bottom or on the top. So you can continually move on the bottom, adjacent, one bottom, next bottom, next bottom, next bottom. And if you want to do a top one, though, you have to go back to the empty-most top space and put a number in there, working your way from left to right. And you're going to add up the numbers and get the value, and at a certain point you're going to be multiplying that value times 2, and that's going to be your victory points for green section. And then lastly, pink. Pink is always super fun. I think pink is always my favorite for all of the games, and this one does not disappoint because now it's all about the value that you put in there. If you put a 1 in pink, it doesn't count, but you can still do it. It doesn't give you anything. It just gives you progress in pink. So even 1s are not the worst thing in the world, but you want to get 2s, 4s, and 6s because those are going to give you bonus victory points, and you can see it at the very bottom of the sheet how many points they give you. 3s are really fun because they give you another 3 right away, and it gives you like double progress. But the only way that you get the bonus underneath is if you pick a 5 or a 6. And a 5 or a 6 says you get the bonus underneath this. And if you do a 6, you also get some victory points with it. So really, really cool the way that works. And you simply are going to get the furthest most space on pink that you reached by the end of the game. And, as always, you will multiply your amount of foxes times your lowest scoring space out of all 5 of the colors. I think the cool thing is there's an extra action in this game, Clever Forever, that we haven't seen before, and it is adding or subtracting a pip of value from a die you take on the silver platter. And that's cool. I mean, you can even do that if you're taking a die from the silver platter as the active player using your take 1 bonus die, then you have those value dice, then you can pip it up or pip it down based on what you need. And so that's a new action in this game that I think really does give what you need, because most often players are dumping those lower value dice to the silver platter, taking better dice for themselves, leaving you with, you know, a real real choice there of what you're taking. And so if you don't like the 1 or 2 or 3, you can pip it up and take that even when it's your passive player silver platter die choice. Okay, so now it all comes down to, did I like Clever Forever? Did I have a fun time playing it? Would I play it again? Yes, 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 yes. Yeah, I really liked this one, and I went back and I played and I just felt all the other games again, and I have to say that I think this might be better than 1 and better than 2 and better than 3. I think this has the most fun. I loved yellow. I loved yellow so much. I felt like yellow made sense to me. Yellow needed low numbers to high numbers in the top row. Then it needed just low numbers in the middle, but you could put higher numbers, and they wanted high numbers in the bottom to add, but you could put lower numbers because it's up to you whether or not you're going to be adding or subtracting those values, but you really get the bonuses on the columns and finishing all 3. But in the meantime, you're still gaining other stuff. So I think yellow's dynamite. I love yellow. I thought blue, and I'm never the fan of the white plus the blue die crossing this way and that way. In all those other iterations, I was kind of like, some of them I liked a little bit better than others, but this one, so good. So good with the 2 this way, 2 this way, 2 this way, and you can have a lot of crossover. Like you could get 4 corners, get this way, get this way, get this way, and get this way with just 4 corners. That's amazing. It's so cool. And I love the bonuses on the side. You can kind of pick and choose what you're really looking for. There is a fox opportunity, so don't miss out on the fox opportunity in the blue section. But I think the blue section works so well, like incredibly well. And the gray section, I mean, I told you before, it was so revolutionary. I love this idea of you've got a 4 high grid of squares with a variety of cut out polynomial shapes that are of 3 different colors of gray. So you've got victory point opportunities, you've got bonus opportunities, and you've also got fox opportunities if you're filling in each of the sections completely. I love it. I love it so much. And guess what? I'm going to say I love light green too, because you can put anything you want in light green. I saw somebody run all the way across the bottom and just get bonuses, and I think they ended up getting like 9 points in green, which of course was their lowest score that they did their Fox multiplier with. And I think they regretted not getting more of the top numbers, because the top numbers are the only way you can score that column. So if you put a 6 in the bottom space of the first green, you don't get 6 points. You get nothing if you don't put a number above it, which then adds together to give you your score. So all the numbers on the bottom don't count for victory points unless you put a number on top. That's clever. That's cool. And it could be anything you want it to be. It could be a 1, it could be a 2, who cares? It's just a point. I mean, you want 6, obviously, because you get 6 points for every pip you put in the green space, but you don't have to. So there's so much flexibility, and there's also that temptation to just run the bottom and get all the bonuses and forget entirely about scoring. I love it, and I love that if you get to a certain point in green, it's now ×2, because it's really tough to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now I'm going into the next grouping, and you could just really, again, blow green all the way to the end and just be cool. So green, amazing. Pink, give me a break. It's so cool. I love it. I love it. I found that I was choosing to do really interesting things there, gaining bonuses when I could with a 5 or a 6, but also just making progress and getting points elsewhere. So pink was fun because you really wanted to move far, but you also wanted to get all the bonuses along the way, but they're not every space, and so you can do like a 3-3, or you can throw a 2 in there, or you can throw a 4 in there, and it's going to be okay because you can't roll 5s and 6s every time for pink. So for me, I loved it. I thought the silver platter bonus pip, up or down, was just really smart. I liked that a lot as an additional bonus. So Clever Forever for me, Clever Forever accurately describes this game. And I also just super appreciate, I know on my last video I kind of begged Wolfgang Warsch to make my version. Thank you so much for not listening to me. I understand, you're a wonderful designer, and you made a great 4th game to follow up in this series of clever games 1, 2, and 3 that just delighted me. So all the thumbs up. I really enjoyed my Clever Forever. All right, guys, I'll see you later.